out there, Peabody here, and seated there, immersed in homework, is my boy, Sherman.
Hi.
Making progress, Sherman?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Peabody. I seem to be having trouble drawing a straight line. Sure wish I had my Oliver Cromwell.
And what, pray tell, is your Oliver Cromwell?
It's an English ruler. I had it in my desk yesterday, but I seem to have...
That's enough homework, Sherman. Go set the Wayback Controls for the year 1539.
Where are we off to today?
You should be off to bed. Instead, I am taking you back to visit another English ruler, Henry VIII. We made a straight line into the Wayback Machine, and in less time than it takes to tell, we're standing inside the kitchen of Henry VIII's castle, where Henry was in the act of admonishing his head cook, who might soon become his headless cook.
Out, varlet, for this you shall die.
Excuse us, your eighthness, but what has he done?
This is what he's done.
The embittered monarch pointed to a large platter.
Eggs over easy, Canadian bacon, 2 pieces of toast. What's wrong with that?
There's no jelly on the toast.
This, of course, was akin to treason.
I searched everywhere, Your Majesty, but I couldn't find any jelly.
Off with his head.
You can't do that.
What do you mean I can't do that?
Well, if jelly is all that's bothering you, we'll get some.
So saying, Sherman took the cook by the hand, and with yours truly bringing up the rear, left the castle.
I admire your spunk, little boy, but jelly is scarce in England.
Don't you worry, Mr. Cook. Boys my age can smoke jelly out no matter where it is. Right, Mr. Peabody?
We entered the quaint village of Hangnail on the Pinky, where a county fair was in progress.
Look, Mr. Peabody, big contest. First prize, jar of homemade jelly.
Sherman lost no time in signing us up for the big contest, but in trying to win the jelly, he got us into a jam.
If it's a cooking contest, we'll win hands down.
Hands up would be more appropriate, for Sherman has signed us up for a tug of war.
You three will stand on this side of the mud pit. Your opponents will stand on the other. The team that pulls the other into the mud wins.
This ought to be easy, Mr. Peabody.
Easy to say, perhaps, but to do is quite another matter. For just then we saw the other team grab their end of the rope.
They're huge, Mr. Peabody.
That was our task.
Well, here's mud in your eye.
And with that, the starting signal was given and the rope snapped taut. Effortlessly, they pulled us nearer and nearer to the gooey mess.
Mr. Peabody, we're going in.
I had to act and act fast. Noticing that each of our adversaries had a large anchor tattooed on his arm, gave me the answer.
What do we do, Mr. Peabody?
Shout 2 words, Sherman. Sail ho.
Sail ho!
With that, our opponents, obviously sailors, took one hand from the rope, raised it to their brows, and scanned the horizon for an approaching vessel. That was all we needed. In that off-balance position, we gave a sudden jerk.
We did it! We won!
The judge awarded us the coveted jar of jelly.
Quick, let's get it back to the castle before King Henry finishes breakfast.
That is not a very dainty dish to set before a king. Taste it, Sherman.
Ugh, it tastes like mud.
It is mud. Those 3 sailors were poor losers and switched jars on us.
Then they have the real jelly.
But not for long. Having been in the mud pit, their trail was easy to follow. Large, muddy footprints led directly to an old mill. Peeking through a dusty window, we saw the 3 culprits sitting in a circle, the jar of jelly to one side, and a pop-up toaster in the middle.
Good heavens, that toast will be done any second. Then it's goodbye, jelly.
There's not a moment to lose. Fortunately, this was an old flour mill, so I instructed the cook to whip up some custard pies post-haste, which he managed to do in an incredibly short time.
What shall I do with them?
They're ammunition. Stand here and fire when I give the word.
The toast is popping, Mr. Peabody.
So am I. You can imagine their shock when I dashed into their midst and plucked the jar of jelly.
Go, blimey, it's him what put us into the blinking mud. Grab him!
Touch me, I lateraled the jelly to Sherman, who was standing in the doorway. Run! But no sooner did they emerge from the mill. Fire when ready! Of course, with custard in their eyes, they lost all sense of direction and stumbled into the old mill stream. A trifle later, Henry VIII finished his breakfast with jelly on his toast.
Deliciously delightful. Cook, I shall knight you for this.
Well, that ends that, Mr. Peabody.
Yes, I think it's time we returned home. Just then we saw in the courtyard a woman facing a squad of guards.
Who's that?
Henry's 5th wife, Catherine Parr. She's about to be executed.
But the guards are aiming at her with golf clubs.
Well, how else would you shoot Parr?